Yes, we are ready for the event.
This is Dania Segrist at Junction Middle School.
Hello, we read you loud and clear. We're ready for the first question.
You ready?
Hi. Wait, what?
Go ahead.
Hi. My name is Kayla Martin at Junction Avenue. Astronaut Joe. ¿Qué hace usted para divertirse?
Okay, come on up.
I'm in the speaker. Okay. They're talking back.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
Pues solamente viviendo aquí en el espacio es divertido y como vivimos en microgravedad podemos flotar y también tenemos una ventana grande donde podemos ver la Tierra y esa vista es bonita. También tenemos computadoras donde podemos ver películas y también un teléfono y podemos llamar familia y amigos.
Thank you. Just say thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Eric Maravilla. I'm in 7th grade at Junction Avenue School. For astronaut Andre, if you get sick or there is a medical emergency, what do you do? And what medicines do you keep on the ISS?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, astronauts are pretty healthy, and we're very well checked before we go up, so we're in good shape. But of course, an accident can happen. People can get sick. For that reason, we have a small hospital on board. We have a lot of medication for small things like a headache or a small ear infection or something like that. But also medication for somebody who has a serious heart problem. And on top of that, we have equipment to support. To give life support, so we can do a lot up here, and of course we'll have a lot of support from doctors on the ground. So, but hopefully it is never needed.
My name is Mackenzie Wallace. I'm a 6th grade student at Junction Avenue K-8 School. For astronaut Dawn, how does all the time you spend on your career and at the space station impact your home life?
Well, no matter what you do for a living, your family gets pulled along with your career. So your family shares your career, and that happens if you're an astronaut as well. And so my family gets to see what it's like when I go through training. They get to see when I go on travel, and they get to come with me on occasion. And so we all share the experience like you do with any other family experience. So your family gets to hear and feel what it's like from their perspective.
Hello, my name is Jessica Bennett. I'm in 6th grade at Junction Avenue School. For astronaut Joe, are you conducting any experiments that will help us here on Earth relating to energy conservation, waste reduction, or other issues?
Well, that's a great question. Just living on the space station, we're doing a little bit of all of that. We have solar arrays, so we're using power from the sun. All of our water we recycle, so it might not sound too good, but what we might urinate today, we'll be drinking shortly. So we're doing that, and we try to minimize any of the waste that we have on board. So we're doing a little bit of that every day, just living on the space station.
Wait for that. Okay, and go.
Hi, my name is Janelle Holm. I'm an 8th grade student at Junction Avenue School. For astronaut Andre, what type of plants are you trying to grow on the ISS, and what are the challenges of hydroponics in space?
Well, I hand this question over to the specialist on that.
Hi, I'm Don, and currently I'm growing broccoli, sunflower, and zucchini. And we're not using hydroponics, we're using aeroponics. This is a different concept that NASA has helped pioneer, where instead of having a large tank of water with all the nutrients that the roots are in, you have a chamber filled with air and just a little bit of water with nutrients. And that way, you don't have to have a whole lot of water sitting around in a tank for raising your plants. And what I'm finding is spacecraft are designed for animals like human beings, and plants have a hard time living in that environment. If our spacecraft were designed by plants, I think us human beings would have a hard time living in that kind of spacecraft.
My name is Kayla Bidding. I am in 5th grade at Vintage Hill School. For astronaut Dawn, what would you do or say if you were the first person to meet another species while on a mission?
Well, I've had opportunity to meet an alien, and I will hand the microphone over to him. He's an alien because he is from the Netherlands.
That's right. Ik kan zelfs in een andere taal praten. So I can even talk in another language. But that will be the biggest problem: how to communicate with aliens, because they, of course, they will be built totally different, and it will be hard to communicate. I think we will have to communicate with images. That is to say, if he uses the visual light as we use. So I think communication is the biggest thing. And if they come to us, it probably means that they are technically very advanced, and for them we will be very primitive, and I think they will take the initiative to communicate with us. But I think the most important thing is to be very open and assume that they have good intentions, and then see how we can share what we know, what they know, and well, have an interesting conversation on that.
My name is Amani Green. I'm in 5th grade at Vintage Hill School. For astronaut Andre, what experience on Earth closely resembles or feels like being in space, both mentally and physically?
Well, for me, the thing that resembles space the most is diving. So being underwater, you can practice yourself in a pool. Just go underwater, don't move, just hang there, so you don't feel anything, not on your feet, your hands, and that resembles it a bit. So the floating underwater is something that resembles it, but that's also the risk. If you come into space, you have the tendency to try to swim. So you have to be careful with your legs, because you might kick off things from the walls and things like that. So, well, being underwater, floating still, that if you do that, then it comes a bit close. And mentally, well, I would say go to an IMAX theater. And they're fantastic movies that make you almost feel that you're there. This is really, really close.
My name is Stacy Robles. I am in 3rd grade at Junction Avenue School. Why does it take 2 days to travel the 242 miles to the International Space Station?
That's a very good question, and a very complicated question. You would think that since we're traveling at 5 miles per second, we could get to the space station in about a minute. But it's a little bit more complicated. It depends on when you launch and where you launch from. And when we first get to space, we're at a different height, a different altitude than the space station. And so we're going at different relative speeds. So it takes us time to go around the Earth to catch up. But there are ways that we can get here sooner, and I wouldn't be surprised that if in the future, instead of taking 2 days for us to get here, we may change when we launch and how we use our engines to reach the space station, and maybe get here in 7 or 8 hours. Great question.
My name is Diamond Wesley. I'm in 8th grade at Junction Avenue School. For astronaut Joe, what is it like being on an international space station with people from different countries?
It's pretty cool. As you can see, we have Andre here, who was giving me a good lesson on where he's from today. So it's really exciting. You learn about different cultures. We also have Russians on board. When Don and Andre go home, Aki Hoshide will be coming up, and he's a Japanese astronaut. So I'm having a chance to live with a bunch of different people with different cultures. It's cool. We're speaking different languages. So it's really neat. It's kind of like being on Earth, and we have this representation of different groups, but all here in the space station. So it's a great experience.
My name is Denise Toscano. I'm an 8th grader at Junction Avenue School. For astronaut Don, how does involvement from the private sector impact the daily operations on the International Space Station?
Right now, the commercial private sector are in the process of delivering goods to space station, durable goods, things, resupply for food and clothing and things like that, and parts, spare parts that we need. And it's just started with the SpaceX Dragon vehicle, which we sent back to Earth just last week. So it's just starting to happen, and we'll get a ringside seat both up here and on Earth to see what comes from all of this.
My name is Tina Fay, and I'm an 8th grade student at Junction Avenue K-8 School. For astronaut Don, what actions would you take if the International Space Station was ever punctured by flying debris, and how much time would you have to make the repairs before it became dangerous?
We practice emergencies on space station just so we'd be prepared for things like that. We call this a depressurization event, and like a hole in your tire, how far can you drive before your tire gets flat? It kind of depends on how big the hole is, and if it's just a little hole and say the nail is still in the hole, you might be able to drive 25 or 30 miles before your tire gets flat. If it's a big hole, you might barely be able to get to the side of the road before your tire gets flat. And the same kind of thing is here on space station. The scenarios that we practice are scenarios where we would have anywhere from 20 minutes to a number of hours before things would start to get dangerous, and that gives us time to either get in our Soyuz vehicle as an escape lifeboat, or it gives us a chance to try to close off the module that's leaking, or even repair the leak if we can find where the hole is in the hull. So we've got a whole range of reactions that we can take to depressurization, and it all depends on how fast it is.
My name is Joseph Listoki. I'm in 7th grade at Junction Avenue School. For astronaut Andre, how do you recover back home after being in space for so long?
Well, we have our drill sergeants on the ground, the acers. These are the people that train us and that prepare us and keep us in good shape. We have a lot of contact with them here on board, so they make sure that we do the right exercise. We have weight training, we are running, we are bicycling. And as soon as we come back, we will have to continue. So we have a whole program. We start in the pool, actually, because, like I said earlier, it's a bit easier. It resembles a bit floating. But we will do a lot of exercise, physiotherapy, to make sure that we get all our muscle strength, muscle coordination, and our bone density back. So there will be a tough program for us. And weightlessness is great, but we also have to get back to Earth, and that is probably a bit more difficult for us.
My name is Jimmy Leon. I'm in 5th grade at Junction Avenue School. Astronaut Joe, cuando necesitan ayuda y no saben qué hacer, ¿qué hacen? ¿A quién llaman?
Pues cada día tenemos problemas, no siempre grande, pero puede ser pequeño. Y como yo tengo solamente 3 semanas ahora aquí, si yo tengo un problema, yo puedo hablar o preguntar a Andre o Don qué yo puedo hacer. Pero si tenemos un problema más grande, tenemos un equipo muy grande en la Tierra, en Mission Control, y puede ser en Houston o en Moscow, y podemos hablar con ellos, y ellos nos pueden ayudar.
My name is Will Hansen. I'm in 6th grade at Junction Avenue School for Astronaut Dawn. Do you run through drills on the ISS? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, could you repeat the question? It was broken up just a little bit by the time it got sent up here via radio.
For Astronaut Dawn, do you run through drills on the ISS? And if so, what are they?
Yes, now I understand the question. We do have drills. We have two kinds of drills on Space Station. We have drills that we do for emergency, and then we have a drill driver that we use with tools for drilling holes and driving screws and nuts and bolts.
My name is Gerald Adriano. I'm in 2nd grade at Junction Avenue School. For Astronaut Joe, what languages do the astronauts need to know to be able to work on the ISS, and why?
Well, the primary language on the International Space Station is English, so we all have to be able to speak English. But all of us that are on board right now, we also have to learn how to speak Russian. And that's a pretty hard language to learn, and we're not all very good at it, but we have to learn Russian because the way we come to the space station now is on a Russian spaceship. And so we train a lot in Russia. Our colleagues, the cosmonauts, they're Russian, and they speak Russian. So English and Russian, you have to know how to speak. Y yo quiero que ellos hablen español también, porque es algo que ellos tienen que aprender.
My name is Romano Tulagan. I'm in 8th grade at Junction Avenue School. For Astronaut Andre, how does time in space differ from time on Earth?
Well, as you know, normally, well, not at this period actually, but normally we have about, say, 50 minutes of light and 40 minutes of darkness if you are on the other side of the planet. But we cannot work on that. You cannot sleep for 3/4 of an hour, then be awake, etc. So what we are using is a standard time, the Greenwich Mean Time. Because we have a center in Moscow, we have a center in Japan, we have a center in Germany, in America. So all these centers, they have to work at the same time. So the crew is working with this Greenwich Mean Time, the time in London, and that is how we work. That means that some people on the ground have to work in the middle of the night, unfortunately. But this is the way we do this in the International Space Station. So this is the time we use on board.
Blasco, and I'm an 8th grader at Junction Avenue School. For Astronaut Andre, out of everything that you've experienced on the International Space Station, what experience is the most memorable?
That's difficult because there are things that are very special. The floating is very pleasant and special, but of course the view. And I think one of the things that amazed me most was on a night. It was very quiet, it was dark in the station, and it was at night on Earth. And I was in the cupola, and without taking any pictures, as I'm just looking, and then all of a sudden I realized I was flying over the north of Italy, and I all of a sudden realized that I could see the whole of Europe. I still could see the lights of Ireland, and then when I turned my head, I could see Cairo in North Africa, in Egypt. And it was amazing how much I could see, and this fantastic view that we have up there. That's the most memorable for me.
Okay, so does that mean one more question, or we're done? Okay, thank you. Hello?
If there are no more questions, it was very pleasant to talk with you all there.
And thank you so much for this opportunity to talk with you.
Muchísimas gracias por visitarnos. Fue un placer y que estudien mucho y que sigan adelante. Gracias.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Junction Avenue School. Station, please stand by while we reconfigure video and audio comm.